Now then lads, and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to tell you a story, a quest if you will, and it all started with one simple meme. You see, one day I was browsing the Enlisted subreddit when I saw a meme pointing out the current state of the Axis. When I saw them I mostly agreed with all of them, except for one. Normandy. I thought, hey, if the Axis are constantly losing in Normandy, then maybe I could go for the best Yank tank, the Sherman Jumbo. I mean, how hard could it be to go up like 8 levels to get the Jumbo if the Axis are losing constantly? So, I embarked on this quest. However, unbeknownst to me, this quest would not be some easy Axis steamrolling as past me had thought. But first, what actually is the Jumbo? The Jumbo, also known as the Sherman Diabetes, or the Sherman Extra Large, or the M4A3E2, was a Sherman who underwent the British heavy tank design philosophy of just weld more steel to the front and that'll do. Therefore, this created a Jumbo much bigger and thicker than before, capable of being a breakthrough tank thanks to its fat size. Essentially, the Americans realised, God damn it, we ain't got no big-ass tank to go through this big-ass fortification, we gon' need one, damn. To which the British chimed in with, well then, good Americans, sir, how about you perhaps leave it to us British to help break through the lines with our excellent infantry tanks? To which the American then responded, I ain't letting no pussy tank take away from my victory. I want a heavy tank that bleeds red, white, and blue and is the size of my Ford Raptor. Therefore, the production of the Jumbo began. I think. I don't really know, that's just how I imagine what happened. So then, what makes it so good in Enlisted? Well, thanks to its large amount of frontal armour, its large amount of mantlet armour, it essentially acts as a much more powerful version of the regular Sherman. So overall, it's a really good tank for a pretty low level, and with it being put into a much higher level when the new changes roll around, I thought that this was a pretty good time to capitalise on the system. So, being at only level 12 with not much left to go to begin with, and with a pretty decent enough setup for early Normandy, I thought, hey, let's go. So, let us begin the Jumbo quest. Game 1. This game went well. Almost too well. I spent most of this game in a Sherman, my M4A2 Sherman, a battle pass vehicle that I had bought. A good tank with pretty much one major flaw: solid shot, armor-piercing rounds. Unlike regular armor-piercing high-explosive rounds, this does not explode inside the tank, a problem that will become very apparent later. I also met my first adversary here, the Puma, a German recon tank armoured car thing, armed with a 50mm cannon and a pretty high speed. Luckily it can't front pen me, but it can from the side, so it can flank me. However, it has a thin armour plate and a pretty easy ammo rack target, so I don't have to worry too much about the Puma. Overall, the Puma probably won't be a huge threat as I continue. Hopefully. And this Puma was, of course, the first of many dead Pumas to come. Overall, Game 1 went great, and not only did we win, we hadn't lost an objective. And the meme, to me, seemed correct. The Axis were pretty weak here. I ended up coming second despite my tank free, and I also got straight to level 13 thanks to my 350% XP booster. Very good. Overall, I dealt with the mortar troops I unlocked properly, and stole all of their equipment to give it to my other soldiers since we wouldn't be using them throughout the entire game, or throughout the Game 2. This game would go even better. Kind of. I joined after the first point was captured and I couldn't pick a tank, so I relied on my BAR Premium Squad, another squad you will come to know very well. My squad also started getting good kills as well, so good for them. The bots did something good for once. Okay, so now I want to talk about the other weapon that carried me through this journey, the M1918 Browning automatic rifle. This gun is pretty good. It's a high rate of fire, it's got pretty tight hip fire and pretty low recoil, and a 3-shot kill combined to make it the ultimate point clearer. One of the guns of all time, indeed. In the end, despite being killed by the puma right at the end, we won, and I came 5th. However, here we see the first of many double-edged swords. Despite a quick win and a short game, it means I can't get too many kills or points, which kind of wastes the booster, but not to matter. I was still happy that we'd won anyway. Game 3. This game was Conquest. Oh no. Objectively, the worst game mode in the game, since A, it doesn't last long, so I'm wasting the booster for the second time, since I can't get a lot of XP, and B, it's just so boring. It started off okay, however I couldn't find many of the enemy as they were attacking B and I was not near B. So, after I decided to try and kill a mystery tank, I was attacked by another one of my nemesises, rockets, essentially bombs, which can be aimed, and easily kill tanks. So, they would be a big threat, and would also become a running theme. However, I pushed on and got the tank, and not a Puma like I thought, but a Panzer IV-J. This will be another common foe, a Panzer with a deadly 75mm cannon and a far greater amount of armour of 50mm on the turret and 80mm on the hull. However, it has one major drawback, a slow turret traverse speed, so I could outrun it since it couldn't really turn to shoot me. However, this first one was dead. Another kill, another soul taken by the Sherman. Although that did not stop us from losing, regrettably. I ended with my first of many to come losses. This was a bad omen for the future. This was my first game on the map Power Plant, a map I hadn't played before since I hadn't played a lot of Normandy recently. So I got in my Sherman and proceeded. Atop a perch, I shot at a few enemies and got a few kills until an unassuming Panzer IV-J appeared, and after being blinded by sparks and smoke from it shooting me, I got sight of something horrible. I thought I just had shot at what I assumed to be a regular Panzer, but instead was much, much worse. A Tiger I. You see, due to the campaign system not having balanced matchmaking, it means a high-level Axis player can be in my games. This makes it immeasurably more miserable, since my Sherman can only pen the Tiger up close and in the undercarriage. At any amount of range, I am hopeless. So, I died. So, I formed a counter-attack with my AT gunners to get revenge. And of course, by the time I arrived, both tanks were dead. This game was pretty frustrating, and we didn't win. We lost. However, I still came second, so you know, wasn't the worst thing that ever happened. Kind of, I guess. Game 5. This game was Destruction. Not an awful game mode, but one that requires a pretty good team that can be able to multitask. And, as all games start, it began with me spamming high explosive into their point. I was indeed right. It would be a good game. I would also see my next tank foe, the Panzer IIIN. This Panzer III with a 75mm howitzer was not really much of a threat, as its cannon struggles to pen my front. However, here it is even more killable due to not even seeing me. I also got robbed of a Puma kill by rockets. Yay, screw you rockets. And I also got killed by another Tiger. Yay again. Despite that though, we still won, making it 3 wins and 2 losses so far. Game 6. This was just a standard invasion on a map that you will become very familiar with. La Perelle Village. So, how'd it go? In the first 2 minutes I was killed by a hidden tiger. So, what happened when I tried to kill the tiger with a Piat? Why, the glorious inconsistency of the Piat appeared and I, of course, failed. And this all happened in the span of 5 minutes. The only thing that I did that didn't go wrong was build a rally point. That worked quite well. This game also gave us the first appearance of a Panther, which, just as the Tiger, is not killable by my Sherman from the front. So it would be tough luck to kill it, since it's also got more angled armour, and it's just overall a bit of a pain to kill it with the Sherman. However, despite the ground problems, I did see success in the sky, shooting down 2 planes, or more accurately shooting down 1 plane and kamikazing another. Then we lost again. A break even in terms of win rate, although I did come first again, so take that, Germany. Game 7. This was just pretty regular game, although I did decent as a tanker without a tank. However, I was now within touching distance of level 14, which was good, mostly thanks to a booster though. Overall, this game was just kind of mediocre. We won. Yay. A lot of these games happen if you can't tell. Game 8. It did not go well. First of all, I already think D-Day is the worst map in the game, since it's full of problems, and now I'm being forced to play it. So, what happened? Well, aside from opening by blowing up machine gun ports, it was just a typical match on D-Day. It was long, boring, bloated, and full of indestructible barbed wire. And despite getting a Panzer IIIN and a Panzer IV-H as a radio operator of all classes, this game was exactly what I expected. Long and bloated, and also full of indestructible barbed wire. And when it was finished, I was indeed happy. Overall we had lost, but I did relatively well, at least for D-Day. Despite the barbed wire. God, I hate the barbed wire. Okay, so after that, I had come to some conclusions so far. A, the Piat was inconsistent at best and does about as much damage as a feather at worst. And 2, I needed more firepower. So, I enlisted the help of the paratrooper squad. A squad that I had gotten from an event not that long ago. And I will put them to good use as tank hunters with M1 bazookas, since, well, the M1 bazooka is unlocked much later, therefore it must be as good or better, right? Anyway, so, in upcoming matches, they would become the ultimate tank hunters. And so, I continued the quest. Game 9. So, how did this game go, Brucie? Well, not very well at all. I had the bright idea to land at sea, and so did the enemy, who, killed me. A fitting allegory for the whole match. This was once again another conquest we would lose. About the only good thing that happened was the fact that I penned the turret of a panther with the Piat. Somehow I still lost the kill though. We lost pretty badly that day. Despite using the paratroopers. Oh god, why? However, nothing so far could prepare me for Game 10. My previous skills in Enlisted, what I'd learnt online, no. Nothing could prepare me. Oh, and I also stopped live recording here, and you're lucky I did. It started out normal, a regular invasion of Leporel village, and so I got in my Sherman and started spamming HE onto the point, only to then be killed by a Puma. A truly bad omen. After that, I failed to kill a Panther with my Piat, despite what happened in the previous game, so thank you Piat, very cool. I then decided to drop in with the Paras as a tank hunter squad, but there were no tanks, so I captured the point instead. And we were doing well with plenty of tickets. This next point surely wouldn't be that hard to take, since we had around 800 extra lives, so we surely would be good, right? So I got in a tank and decided to attack the main point by once again spamming high explosive at the point, and it was working until I got killed by a Panther. Then I got obliterated from taking the point as an engineer by a Puma, so this angered me. Therefore, I put into action Operation Sneaky Shoots, a simple paratrooper plan to avenge my Sherman and engineer. Step 1, drop on the forest flank. Step 2, pick the AT gunner specialization. Step 3, kill the tanks. And finally, Step 4, capture the point. So, I began. Step 1 went well and we weren't noticed. Step 2, even better. Now, for Step 3, 1 shot the Puma, 2 shot the Puma, 3 shot, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 shots to kill a puma. Forget heavy tanks. Who needs a Tiger II or a Mouse when clearly all the Germans needed was a puma if it can survive 12 bazooka rockets? Christ! The plan had been marginally successful, but we still lost the point. Until I got killed in a Sherman by a grey zone camping panther. So, Operation Sneaky Shoots 2. 1. Jump in forest. 2. Get bazookas. 3. Kill puma in 2 shots, of course, because rockets wouldn't be anything but inconsistent, would they? Step 4. Kill panther. Okay, kill the soldiers instead. I started to realise something here, as if the bazooka is actually really bad and unusable, but that doesn't matter. Time for Operation Sneaky Shoots 3. Step 1, jump. 2, AT gunners. 3, pen turret once. Shoot at remaining crew with machine guns. Fail again. Overall, we lost. Despite getting best paratrooper, Operation Sneaky Shoots had been completely unsuccessful. God damn it. Okay, so now you should get the gist of the quest so far. Early Normandy allies bad, since I'm regularly match-made against much higher level people, with objectively better equipment, so, well, I guess with that cleared up and you've seen your little taster, let's get the rest of them. Game 11. Not much really happened here. I got a 19 kill streak as a paratrooper, which I was pretty happy with, but that's about it. Oh, yeah, we did win though, so, you know, that's always a plus. Game 12. This was on power plant. And this went really well. I got some dude with HE spam, I pushed up, and then I had to single-handedly fight off an AT squad, and then a Puma with no driver, and overall we won again, and I was actually pretty happy about this match because I didn't die once and stayed in the tank the whole way through, so yeah, let's go, that's always a plus. Game 13. After being tempted at the beginning with the main prize again, I moved on and I got a Puma with the bazooka in only 3 shots this time, and I also got some people with my new Hyde SMG which I'd recently bought. And honestly, it's actually a pretty fun gun, essentially being an MP40/1, but for the Americans, it's actually not that bad, so I rate it for what it is as a gold order weapon. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty standard game. Game 14. I got a HE multi-kill with some spam, and I also got a few Pumas, but other than that, not much really happened. I'm sure you're starting to see my tactics on full display by now. Game 15. After getting jump-scared by a Tiger tank, and after putting far too much effort into killing a Panzer IV J, I did feel a bit stupid, to be fair, doing that, but it don't matter. I even managed to mine the objective, but I still lost. However, we had finally reached level 15, which did not matter as I already had the fully upgraded Battle Pass version of the M4A1 that's called Bomb. Also by this point, I had the 4th of July pin-up, which I put on my Sherman, and newly christened her as Judith, which was very good. Game 16. Judith died in the first 5 minutes, and despite getting a surprise Panzer IV H1 shot, somehow, and another Puma, we still ended up losing. Yay! Game 17. Despite losing 3/5 of my crew at the beginning, and also losing my turret traverse ring, essentially breaking my neck, we still hung on, and after a few other kills, right as we were told we won, I ended up getting a Puma, which is a victory. Finally! Oh my god, it's felt so long since this has happened. Needless to say, I was pretty happy. Game 18 began with plenty of high explosive round spam, and despite struggles through the middle objectives, we pulled through in the end, thankfully down to me actually capping and blowing up that last point, and we ended up winning, so yeah, I was pretty chuffed about that in all fairness. Game 19 was Conquest. We lost, that's fairly obvious, it's Conquest, it's crap. However, I do want to show you something important. Do you see how the Piat can clearly not penetrate the Tiger? Remember that in detail, that's going to be important for later. And, you know, we lost, like I said at the beginning. I mean, who's surprised, really? It's Conquest. It's just a horrible mode. Why does anyone play it? Why is it here? God, who invented Conquest? I swear to... Game 20 began with me helping the team by helping to build a rally point, and then immediately losing the first point. Then we set up some sort of defense at the second point. I even got a flank rally point before they could attack us with it. However, I did get something good in this game. Remember the tiger from the Conquest game? Well, I'm fairly certain that same dude returned, and I enacted some glorious revenge, as Judith got her first tiger kill. I mean, who said anything about 5 Shermans to kill 1 tiger? Clearly, all they needed was Judith the tiger hunter. However, it got me back, which was brilliant. I did have a brief stint with an AT gun to try and get it, but other than that, I got another attempt to get the tiger back at the end. However, it was empty. But shut up. Still counts. Still dead. And we won that game. So, yeah, that was good. Okay, so those past 10 games, they began with a few victories. There was a loss streak in the middle, but it ended with a victory, so overall, I'd count games 11 through 20 to have gone pretty well. Hell, we got our first tiger kill, so that's got to count for something. Now it's time for game 21. Mind enlightening us on what actually happened during game 21, Brucie? There was a game here. I wasn't recording, and it was a victory, though. I got best paratrooper and came third, but yeah, it did happen. Brilliant. Of course that happened. Game 22 was D-Day again. Ew. I got some people in a pillbox with HE spam, but died to an AT gun. Then I wasted 9 bazooka rockets on a tiger. Yippee. I then messed around in a plane until I didn't, because I crashed. I killed another tiger tank and we capped the point and won a match on D-Day, which was brilliant because it finally happened. Overall, I actually did pretty good in that match, and I also got to finally level 16, which unlocks the Winchester, a brilliant shotgun, since shotguns in Enlisted are actually really underrated and are actually really good, so I equipped it to all of my assaulters, and decided to get straight into game 23, which went badly. We got the first few points, but overall we did just quite poorly. However, I did do pretty well with my new shotgun, so hey, I was happy. Despite losing again, which is brilliant. Game 24. Now, remember that time when I told you how the Piat couldn't kill the Tiger tank? You know, back in game 19? Yeah, that. Well, explain this. How the hell does that happen? The only major important thing to happen in that match to me, and it breaks all the logic that I thought I knew, the logic that I had learned up until now. Why? How? Why? This is the only time this happens throughout the entire Jumbo quest, and I couldn't replicate it if I tried. What the hell was this? Overall, we won, but that still didn't stop me from being absolutely flummoxed by whatever the hell that was. Game 25. I kamikazed myself and found that the Piat could indeed not replicate the previous magic that it did merely a game ago. I mean, we won again, so that's good, I guess. Game 26. I did pretty good as an AT gunner, but that's about it for this game. We won again, so I guess that's nice. Game 27. I actually killed a bunch of tanks in this game, including a Tiger, which was very nice. And I also started using rockets more and planes. Therefore, I also bagged a Junkers 188. I got even more rocket kills and a second Tiger kill. However, we still lost, so that was kind of crap. Game 28. We got steamrolled pretty hard, and aside from a few machine gun kills and, you know, a bit of those patented tank shenanigans, it was just another loss. I'm starting to miss those victories now. Brilliant. Game 29 was Assault. That one game mode most people forget about. Essentially it's destruction, but you have points to capture instead of bombs. And yeah, it went just as well as you think it would take a team of randos. At one point I got to steal a Sturmgewehr, and I also managed to break a part of my plane on the wing of an enemy plane, and got it. So, you know, kamikazing planes mid-air is always fun. But other than that, it was just a pretty boring game. Mainly because the team I was with just could not hold both points at once, no matter how hard we tried. Unsurprisingly, we lost, but that didn't matter, as I was now level 17, and I got given Rifleman 2, which were promptly not used at all. I mean, no, I'm not using an M1 carbine, even if it has a grenade launcher attached to it. It's still a crap gun. As for Game 30, it actually started out pretty well, and it kept going pretty well. I mean, by the third point, we still had 800 tickets left, and we soon captured that third point, and Judith bagged another Puma, so good girl, Judith. In fact, Judith was so good that even after losing 3/5 of my crew, we still even got a Panzer IV-H. I then ended up in a close quarters tank duel with a Puma, who seemed to be compensating for something with that cannon of his. However, as we all know, just because yours is longer, it doesn't mean that it's as powerful. So, despite the Puma's best efforts to best me, I bested him in proving that it is potency, not length, that counts. Anyway, shortly after whatever the hell that tank duel was, we won, and Game 30, I was starting to have hope that the meme that started this all off was actually correct. And to make it even better, I had a booster, so I ended up getting even more progress, so I was actually pretty chuffed with that. Okay, so by this point, with 30 games under my belt, and we're now over halfway, I was actually a lot more optimistic. Sure, those past 10 games had seen a fair amount of losses, but in all fairness, it felt pretty good, and the balancing felt a lot more on point at this part. I think that's also due to the fact that I'd finally kind of learnt how to use solid shot better, therefore making killing higher level tanks a lot easier. Still no solution for the Sturmgewehrs though, other than shoot them first, but other than that, I was pretty happy with how good we were doing halfway through. Game 31. This game opened with me fighting a Panther, and of course, high explosive round spam. However, it didn't really work, and there's still no Panther killed yet, which is kind of weird when you think about it. I've seen, by this point, way more Tigers than Panthers, yet I've killed at least 3 Tigers and no Panthers. I don't get this. And you'd think Panthers would be more common because they're early on, but they clearly aren't. What's up with that? That's just something weird I noticed. Anyway, however, this game went pretty bad, and I ended up sitting on an AT gun for most of it at the end, and we ended up losing. Yay. Game 32. Before this began, I actually got a 3 100% XP boosters, so of course my next game was Conquest, naturally. It went not the best. We failed to capture the A point, so when I returned with Judith, we managed to save a Jumbo's life, which was good, but after some kills, we still won, but, you know, not as many kills as I wanted. And despite how well of a Conquest game that went, I guess, it was still effectively just a boost waster, which was annoying to say the least. Game 33. I joined halfway through, which was great, but despite some luck with Judith, which got a fair few kills, and a pretty good play from the Hyde SMG, we still did pretty decent, and even the Piat helped by killing a Puma in only 1 shot, may I add. So good job, Piat, you did your job as advertised. And I also got a second Puma with TNT. Overall, this match went pretty good, and we also got a significant amount of XP due to the booster on top. So, yeah. Good job, Game 33, apparently. Game 34. This was my first game on the Airborne Forces map, Steel Mill. So, how'd it go? Pretty bad. Between having to learn a completely new map and fighting off high-leveled enemies, it ended up being pretty difficult. Despite one or two small victories, overall it was just pretty crap, and my game can be summed up in this clip of a puma bullying me, so not very good. I mean, I got revenge in that clip, but that's besides the point. Anyway, despite our best efforts, we lost. Yay again for God knows how many times now. Whew, game 35. This opening clip proved to me one thing. This would be a game to remember. And trust me, it was. You see that tiger tank? And also the fact that I was spamming HE? Well, he had approached us, and so, since I clearly invented the strategy of shooting HE at grouped enemies, decided to take him on in a duel. Well, after that Girls and Panzer shit went down, where I managed to survive 4 shots on flat sides at near point-blank range, losing only the transmission, I topped it off with spamming HE at infantry. Yeah, but for real, who needs 5 Shermans for 1 Tiger again, if all a Sherman has to do, clearly, is Tokyo drift around the Tiger to survive, and then shoot it in its ammo rack? Eventually, however, I got killed, and the great dream of the amazing drifting Judith came to an end. I ended up using paratroopers for the first time in forever, since I stopped using them after I got that Tiger with a Piat, and realised the bazooka is indeed worse than the Piat. However, despite our best efforts again, and my amazing tank drifting, we lost, but I still got level 18, and I was pretty close to the jumbo now. I mean, I could practically smell it, so yeah, this was actually a pretty decent game despite the loss. Game 36. Most of this game was just more puma hunting for Judith, and when all the pumas were hunted, I killed a Panzer IV-H with a Piat in 1 shot, because you have to love that Piat consistency, and another win, naturally, of course, at this point. Game 37, my second ever game on Steel Mill. How'd it go? Decent. Not much to say really, other than it went alright and we won. I mean, you can't expect me to go on for ages about every single one of these games, can you? Game 38, attacking on D-Day again, in a tank, went how it always goes. HE spamming the pillboxes, then I took on 2 Panzer IV-Js with only a gunner in the tank. You know, the usual. Then, to avoid having to fight on the map, I decided to get into a plane. Specifically, an event plane I got all the way back in the first ever Enlisted event. Battle Summer. Which does not feel that long ago, but it's like 2 years. That's... oh god, that's actually pretty old. Oh god, I'm old. Anyway, it's pretty good with both rockets and bombs, so I ended up using it instead, especially since it's a lot more maneuverable. Until I lost part of the wing and had to fight on the ground with nothing but a revolver. But hey, that's not the point. And then this happened. Someone hijacked my tank, which meant I couldn't actually fight back, since in the infinite wisdom of Gustlick_as, the best tank strategy was to drive straight onto the point and die. So, Mr. Gustlick_as, if you are watching, fuck you for killing me. Anyway, then I got back into a plane and managed to kill a BF-110 with my magic. So, I don't know. I also found you can shoot the transport planes for the paratroopers as well, so hey, that's pretty cool and a quick way to get good points. Anyway, we lost, and thankfully Mr. Gustlick_as did worse than me, so that must be karma for trying to steal my Judith from me. Bitch. Game 39. Same old, same old. Shoot high explosive at point. Try to attack point only to be killed by bombs. Kill a Panzer IV-H. Kill an AT gun. Kill a Puma. Spam high explosive. Die to bombs. Get in plane to revenge bomb. Kill another Puma. With a Piat. Lose. Same old, really. Game 40. Conquest. Yay, for like the 3rd or 4th time. I don't know. Look, as you can see from this clip, it describes this match pretty well. It's like death. unsurprisingly we lost. Overall, these past 10 games had not been the best. Sure, there were some memorable moments like the Tiger Duel, but by this point, burnout was starting to set in, especially since that loss streak began. So, it wasn't looking too bright now. Game 41. I got in my P-47 and shot down an enemy air raid, only to destroy my engine on it. But that did not matter, as I was still determined to deliver my payload, on fire, with a dead engine that was also overheating. I like to think that that one kill was indeed worth it. I also killed a Panzer III-M with a TNT, since the dynamite wouldn't work, but I'm more confused about why anyone would use a Panzer III-N. M, even. I also got jumped by a Panther, as I was trying to kill a Panzer IV-H, and that Panther got me. So I revenge bombed him, marking the first Panther kill, finally. I think it was worth it. Overall, though, it was just another loss. Game 42, Conquest. Guess what happened? We lost. Yay, who cares? We're moving on now. Game 43. Not much happened here, just some dead Pumas, and I also had swapped out the paratroopers for snipers at this point, since the paratroopers' main job of destroying tanks was indeed a failure, and the snipers were just much better. Told you they would return, didn't I? Said so. Other than a bit of Puma killing, the game ended with yet another loss, obviously. Game 44. This game was pretty generic defense. You know, some tank kills, HE kills, the like. However, I did manage to shoot a plane down with a dead engine, which is the second time I've done that. So, hey, it wasn't all bad, except for the fact that we lost again. Game 45. This match began with HE spam, when suddenly, a Puma looking for a duel? No, he wasn't. He got killed quickly. I also had an embarrassing death in this match. After failing to kill an easy Puma with an explosion pack, the driver got out and killed me, who was using a BAR, with a Walther PP pistol. So, yeah, that wasn't exactly great. However, I managed to redeem myself by killing one Panzer IV-J, a Puma who tried to duel me again, another Panzer IV-J, and two more Pumas in the final minute of the match. But hey, at least it was entertaining, with a lot of dead Pumas, and we lost again, of course. I mean, that feels like all we've been doing for the past few games. Game 46, D-Day, again, you know the deal. HE, the pillboxes, smite a Puma stuck in the trenches because this map was not designed for tanks, P at a Panzer IV-J. That was just a pretty basic match on D-Day, minus the bloated part, since it was actually under 20 minutes, which is actually pretty nice. Overall, a pretty good victory, made even better by level 19, which gave us the BAR M1918A1. Which has a bipod and is so much better than the Bren gun. Look, I don't hate the Bren gun, but, you know, the BAR, it's a good gun. It's a lot better in these kinds of circumstances, so I was pretty happy with it and was ready to reuse the machine gun as much more often now. Game 47. This game began with me being gang-pressed by a Panzer III-N and a Puma, so I dealt with that, and then I tried out my new BAR, and I think I like it a lot. However, this was, despite the cool new Browning automatic rifle, just another defeat. Again. Game 48. This game began great. Within 2 minutes, we were losing the objective, and I had lost most of my tank crew, and had to go outside to repair a broken traverse system, whilst fighting off a Panzer III-N. Oh, and I couldn't see for most of it. I ended up getting in a plane which yielded way more success, getting multiple bomb kills, shooting down 2 BF-110s and a Ju-52, and despite losing, I still felt good about, you know, being the best pilot. Game 49. This game actually began as a steamroll, but as we built defences and AT guns, we actually started to see a bit of success, and by the end, it ended up going into overtime, and we still lost, which sucked. Because of course it did. Yay! Again, for God knows how many times. Game 50. D-Day.exe. HE to tank killing to HE. You know, your standard dues for D-Day at this point. I'm sure you guys know the drill. and of course it was pretty boring. It was just another loss, so yeah, welcome to D-Day, I guess. These last 10 games had been interesting. With 9 losses to 1 win, it was getting very frustrating, and that combined with burnout was not exactly a good mix. However, I was now within tasting distance of the jumbo, and I was genuinely ready to win finally after all this time, as I knew it really couldn't be much longer. Game 51. This game began pretty well, mowing down fascists with the BAR, then going onto the rooftop for a sniping hunt. I also killed a Panzer IIIN through smoke, got to shooting down a BF-110 and peppered them with rockets, then captured the point, winning the round, which was another win, again, finally. Game 52. This game was bad, but luckily you didn't have to play it. I spent most of the match in a plane, dropping bombs and shooting down Focke-Wulf 190s and Junkers 188s, and BF-110s. Also, that BF-110 I was very happy with, since I managed to also land a bomb in the hangar at the same time. However, my ego got the best of me, and I ended up dying, landing bombs in the point. And all the team did whilst I was in the air fighting the air war was procrastinate, as we failed to capture the first point. Brilliant. I don't think I need to tell you that I had lost. Game 53. This would be my last match on La Perelle Village, a map that I am now, trust me when I say this, thoroughly sick of, and it actually started great. I immediately lost my tank to a Panther, we then lost the first point, we then lost the second, and God was determined to kill Judith, and he did, so I got in a plane to revenge bomb. I ended up getting a Panzer IV-J, but that was it. I didn't even get the plane who killed me. So I got back in Judith and killed a Puma, which is par for the course at this point in the quest, really. I then got back in a plane and did the exact same thing as last time. Panzer IV-J and all. After holding a wave of Germans back with my BAR, against all odds, we won somehow, and well, I was incredibly happy, because I never had to play this map for a while at least. Game 54. This was my last game on Airfield, a map, looking back, I seem to play a lot on. However, unlike La Perelle Village, I actually enjoy it, so it felt much more fun at the time. I also finally saw my first Jagdpanzer IV here, meaning I had fought every single tank the Germans have in their campaign levels, which meant now all I had to do was kill it. But it got me first. It proved hard to kill, and getting my AT gunners too, with help from a Panzer IV-H. So I got in a plane and came so close, getting 3 out of the 4 crew members, but not the whole tank, and I died. So I resorted back to old reliable HE spam instead. Then on to machine gun spam. And then we won, with no Jagdpanzer kill, unfortunately. Game 55. By this point, I was tired, and burnout was starting to come around again, but the jumbo was so close that I had to get it. So, for this last game, I decided to go back to live recording. So without further ado, let's see Game 55. On Steel Mill. Oh boy. Oh boy indeed. Let's go. Oh, there we go. That is always a strong start. Oh, there we go. Ah, easy kills. Go in here. Where are they? Is there no one here? No, must not be. Oh, here's one. There we go, got him. Oh. Hello, Mr. Puma. There we go. Oh, we're on fire. Yeah, I think this is it. I think Judith is dead. Yeah, I'm gonna bail. Yeah, we have it. Got another zone. Oh, brilliant. Got him. Actually, yeah, this is probably a good position. We'll just wait here. There's one of them. Another one, another one. I think they're all on the ground floor at least. Yep, that's one definitely. Okay guys, defend this point here. Oh wait, no, that's friendly. This is a big point. Okay. Hopefully we should get this. Oh, come on, we can totally do this. We are so close to victory. You know, I am yet to kill one of them. Also, why did you... Oh god. Brilliant. Friendly fire. Oh, and it set me alight. That's brilliant. Shooting at me, even better. Right, we need to find him and not die somehow. Got one! That is the first one I've got of the Panzer 470s, so that is good. Alright. Let's pray. It is done. It is completed. We have finally done it, guys. We have done Jumbo Quest. Jumbo Quest has been achieved. Yes! Yes! It is done. Jumbo Quest is done. Yes! Oh my god. Okay, very quickly. We have to adorn the Jumbo. We have to. It has to. Gotta bring back Judith. Brilliant. It is done. It was done, and as you can tell from my tired, excited voice, I was very relieved. I had killed one of each tank, conquered pretty much all of the maps, and dealt with wacky penetration calculators, and now had adorned the Jumbo as the new Judith. Jumbo Quest was finally complete. Overall, this was an adventure of ups and downs and interesting middle parts, but I hope you enjoy it. And hopefully this will show the reasons as to why we need matchmaking, and hopefully we will get it, and when we do get it, it hopefully will work well. But for now, thank you for watching my ramblings about how I ended up getting a diabetic Sherman, and for, oh god, has it really been going on that long? So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hello, it is modern day Brucie here now. So this video has been in the works for a very long time, as many of you will probably notice. This is in the campaign system. Now there is a little disclaimer at the beginning that I put, but I kinda didn't want to disrupt the flow of the video. I mean, I've been working on this video for, believe it or not, 2 years. And I mean, I strained myself to use the term working on it. I think it would be more appropriate to say this was sort of an albatross hanging round my neck, and Yeah, I've been waiting for a while to get it done, but it's finished. It's finally done. Jumbo Quest, my albatross is gone, which means I can finally move on to making some newer, more sort of more edited content, which is what I do want to get into making. And now that this is finished, it means I can actually give that a go. So thank you very much for sticking around for watching a video that is arguably 2 years out of date. But thank you so much nevertheless. A big thank you to Max for the thumbnail design. And yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.